It's a BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Vlad C.
All right, let's get started. Team Sonic Racing has a lot of neat details within stages for lore nerds to geek out at. One thing that stood out to me was this creature who doesn't look like anything we've seen before depicted next to Chaos. Do you know who this is? Is he on your radar at all? A knowing smile or a confused squint?
I mean, it kind of looks like Void-ish, if you ignore some details, but I don't know. There was another element from that game that I was wanting to use for another project, and the note came back saying it doesn't have any meaning. It's just there to look cool. And it's like, oh, could it mean something? No? Okay.
Whenever you brainstorm personal ideas for series like Restart or connecting Nights to Sonic Shuffle lore, I assume you're going off the Japanese manuals and material. But that got me thinking about Sonic, of course. What's your stance on using fan sources like Sonic News Network and Sonic Retro in regards to translations of Japanese material? Sonic Retro in particular features highly esteemed fan translations. Do you use those, or are you unable to for some reason?
No, translations are the literal material. It's not like there's fan ideas in there. There is a degree of interpretation, to be sure, but that's why I look for as many sources as I can get when I'm citing Japanese material. And even then, when I'm using that as a basis, I'm running it by Sega to say, is this still the standard? Is this what we agree on? Or has that kind of fallen out of favor and now we're going in this direction?
All right, here's this one. Somewhat related to the previous question, but did you watch the Japanese Supersonic QA? If you have, what did you think of it? I figured it was pretty useful since that information comes from on high, so to speak, probably from the same people that oversee IDW, like Toyota-san. Something I found interesting is that it referenced Sonic Labyrinth.
Yeah, I saw it was cute. Nothing really crucial. Most of the stuff we already knew. The shout out to Sonic Labyrinth was surprising, but it's still kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But most of it is just kind of like, in character fluff, which is fine. It's certainly enjoyable.
Here's another one. If Neo Metal copied the biodata of Sonic, Silver, or Shadow, could he achieve a super form through the Chaos Emeralds like them? More interestingly, could he achieve burning through copying Blaze and using her Soul Emeralds?
Super, I honestly am not sure. Like, if that's a biological thing, or if it's like special to them specifically, or if it can be transferred. If so, burning, I'm pretty sure, is tied directly to the will of the Soul Emeralds. Like, I don't think they would convey their power if they felt that the user was unworthy. How conscious are they? I don't know, but that's the impression I got.
Maybe it's like, could you corrupt the Soul Emeralds? That's the only thing I could think of.
I don't know.
Something that could be explored in the future, if they wanted to, somewhere, at some point. Anyway, here's another question. In February 2015, a time when Sonic Boom was still relevant, Bill Freiberger had this to say about Styx. Sometimes, when referring to a work of fiction, you'll hear the phrase author's message regarding a speech or a bit of dialogue. Well, Styx is very often delivering my message. She most represents my point of view and belief system. That's why she'll say something seemingly absurd. And by the end of the episode, she'll be proven correct. In my opinion, what Styx brings to the team is a healthy dose of cynicism. While the others generally have traditional heroes' personalities, Styx is more of an anti-hero. She's kind of like a comedic Rorschach from Watchmen. Were you aware of this nuance when writing Styx? Would you keep it in mind for the future? I myself gravitate toward the idea that Styx isn't just purely crazy without reason, but rather eerily ahead of the curve.
No, I did not know that beforehand, and it would be something I'd want to keep in mind going forward. I don't know if cynicism is the right word in how I would describe Styx, but I do like the idea that she isn't just, conspiracy nut bar for the lulz, that she is observant in her own particular way.
Yeah, I kind of appreciate that about Styx, is that she's not just played for laughs in terms of like her viewpoint on things, and she ends up being right most of the time. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's one thing I like about her. This topic is definitely a dead horse, but I want to pick your brain nonetheless. A while back, you said that part of the reason you wanted Shadow out of the picture in the Metal Virus was because of the final battle. With Chaos Control, he would have trivialized something like the final dash to get Zavok's Chaos Emerald. That being said, I personally found this line of reason a little flimsy, since Sonic and Silver could have done the same thing, since they can use Chaos Control. Silver even citing that Shadow is better at it than him. Do you stand by your previous statement in that Chaos Control is Shadow's bread and butter, and so it's fine that the other two didn't use it there, and their presence in the final battle is a non-issue? Or do you think that you'd rethink what you did with Shadow in that saga entirely if you have a duo-er?
I think your point's fair, but I also think that Shadow has a command of the technique that the other two don't. Like Sonic used it in a very literal last-second life or death situation, and arguably uses it in the boss fight at the end of the game. It depends on how literal you want to take the mechanics. Silver saw Shadow do it once and tried to mimic it and accidentally created a hole in time. He hasn't really used it beyond that. So while they are capable of it, it's not something that they would immediately think of, and it's not something that they have a great deal of experience or command over.
Mm-hmm.
And if you find that satisfying, excellent. If you think that's even flimsier, well, you're not necessarily wrong.
Shadow's kind of broken. Just a little. I mean, so is Silver in a lot of ways, too, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, Silver's ridiculously kitted out. Come on now.
I mean, so is Sonic, though, really. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like, why are these guys so powerful? Why do they have so much power? What did hedgehogs do to get so much power? Questions. Tangentially related to the previous question, this Sonic Channel art piece from 2008 lists his method of time travel to be Chaos Control. Are you at liberty to confirm if this is still true? If you are, well, is it? It's probably more referring to 06. Heck, his Sonic Channel bio still lists Iblis as the things he dislikes. But by the time both Rivals games had come out, opening the door to the question of how he came back, a question that they conveniently ignore. Also, they did not specify who they were talking about. It is Silver.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that reference in the bio is just a reference to 06. There is an official way that he comes back in time, but that has not been publicly revealed, so I gotta say mum on that for now.
DeLorean, flux capacitor. Come on. Duh. What else would it be? And here's another one. Did somebody call for an encore on the topic of Silver's Chaos Control and Super? Nobody really remembers 06, but Silver is capable of these things anyway. I know that the real answer is likely don't think about it because Sega doesn't. You're getting smart, Vlad. You're getting smart. But on the off chance that there's more we aren't seeing, I thought it was worth asking. How does Silver know Chaos Control and Super in the post-06 world? Does everyone just roll with it? Is there no moment of surprise from Shadow this time around like there was in 06? Should we believe that he saw Shadow do it in Rivals or something? Or is it, as I feared, something we should just simply smile and nod at?
I'd want to go back and review the Rivals games just to be sure before I say just smile and nod. But for now, smile and nod.
I mean, it's kind of where we're at. Omega was created to beat Shadow and has succeeded at that task, despite our lack of knowing how that battle went, at least once. We can assume this was because Eggman had Shadow's body to study, since he found him after SA2 and created the Shadow androids. My question is, since Sonic and Shadow are equals, could Omega beat Sonic? It would be pretty poetic that the robot who could beat Sonic was the one that defected from Eggman. Or is the way in which Omega beat Shadow through specific counters to him and him alone, like his biological makeup?
I don't remember anything specifically saying Omega was designed to defeat Shadow. He does in 06. That I'm not arguing, but I don't remember anything saying specifically that's why he was designed for. I thought he was just the last in the E100 line, and then he was sealed away to either A, guard Shadow, or B, hide him from Neo Metal. Either way, he wouldn't be used. If you have like the exact citation, cutscene, whatever, please, by all means, post it in the comments below, educate me, correct me. But in theory, sure. If Omega could take down Shadow, he could reasonably take out Sonic as well.
Here's the next question. Why did Angel Island fall again in Supersonic Story in SA1? As far as I've searched, there's been no official answer anyway, even in Japanese exclusive material. Is there an answer in the Sega vaults that we just don't know? Do you think it'll ever be answered?
I don't think we're ever going to go back to that, no. But as to why, I always thought it was something like the Emeralds understood there was unfinished business. Chaos was still out and about, and that might have triggered it, but that's purely conjecture on my part. I have no solid answer.
Why did it fall? I don't know, felt like it. As we know from The Lost World, the Deadly Six's power set isn't just their ability to manipulate magnetic fields and control robots. Some of them have additional powers. Zalmam is fast and strong enough to become a sand tornado or drill underground. Master Zeke has telekinetic powers. Xena has her green energy cords. Zor uses forbidden shadow powers. And Zavok's fist is surrounded by red energy when throwing punches. In the 3DS version, they can all fly. And all of these are before they consume plant/life energy. After they are powered by that energy, some of them, Zaz, Zalmam, Zor, can use energy sphere attacks. Except in Zeke's case, he could already use those blasts in his regular boss fight, and then in his final confrontation alongside the others, his blasts were either far larger or rapid-fire smaller shots. Does this suggest that the energy spheres in particular are some advanced technique that he mastered, but that the others needed a boost to accomplish?
I'd have to go back and double check, but I'm pretty sure that all of the energy projection abilities come with consuming the life energy of the planet. You don't really see them before the cacophonic conch gets busted. And then after the conch is gone, then you start fighting the others. Like, you only fight Zaz and Zalmam first, and they're purely on mechs or through their own physical prowess. And then after that, they have free reign of Eggman's tech. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be inferred that they're stealing the life energy for themselves, and they're gaining more power as you go along, and thus their energy projection abilities increase. Now, granted, it's been a bit since I've gone through Lost World with a fine-tooth comb. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I'm thinking it is directly tied to that energy. At the very least, that seems to be what Sega was on board with when we did Metal Virus, because they were on board with them not having energy powers until they got Chaos Emerald power.
Interesting. And our final question is one that I think we've addressed before, but hey, it's here again, so here we go. Why did you feel like Sonic letting Eggman get away all the time was something the story needed to address? I always thought it was pretty smart that the games never touched on this detail and saw it as an unnecessary question to raise.
And yet other people raised it, and so we answered it. And they didn't like the answer, so let's not go there anymore.
Just like Ravenholm. We don't go there anymore. People didn't like the answer. Yeah, they don't like a lot of things, Ian, but whatever.
Trying to be diplomatic. Thanks very much for Vlad C. for sponsoring this episode. If you want your own BumbleKast Mini, head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast or Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast and get your very own.
All right, see you next time.